What up, world? Welcome to another episode of the BrandonJaneauShow. As you know, I am Brandon Janeau, and like always, on all podcast platforms everywhere. BrandonJaneauShow, social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, BrandonJaneauShow, and of course, YouTube channel, BrandonJaneauShow. Go subscribe, comment. I do comment back, like some of the videos, man. Shout out to everybody that has subscribed the last couple of days. I appreciate it. Just came up for my 600th episode. Good God Almighty. 600 episodes is yeah, that happened. So yeah, man. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, man. It's Tuesday, so you already know what it is. It's I Believe Sports, but tonight is a very special edition of I Believe Sports because football is around the corner, not just any football, college and the NFL. Both of them are coming back. But this Saturday, it's all college. College football will be back this Saturday, week zero, I think they call it. But next week will be the full-fledged college football weekend. Week one with LSU versus USC. You got Penn State versus West Virginia. The Michigan versus Fresno State. Some other games I think is in week one. I can't remember right now. I can't really put my but it's a couple of crazy games in week one. But tonight I will be talking about all of that, and of course the entire college football, because this episode I am doing a college football season preview show. And so let's get into it, man. Let's talk about it, man. All right, first topic out the gate. To me, of course, before the end of last season, a lot of things were changing already in college football. One thing in particular was conference realignment again. Now, conference realignment has been going on for a while. Some teams have moved here and there, but not like this until since maybe like a decade ago, maybe two, like since 2012, 2013, when Missouri and Texas A&M left the SEC. I mean, left the Big 12 and joined the SEC. You had you had uh Nebraska. I think Maryland left the ACC. No, Nebraska left the Big 12, and Maryland left the ACC and joined the Big 10. And then you of course had Colorado leaving the Big 12 and joining the Pac-12. Stuff like that. So it was this was crazy. It was a crazy realignment around that time. And people was asking, how the hell is college football going to, survive with all these different schools going to all these different places? It was another team I think left, also joined the Pac-12 with Colorado. I can't remember who, but I know a lot of teams left the Big 12 around that time. But now college realignment happened again this past season. A lot of teams moving. It really started, I think, last 2022, going in 2023, when you heard that Texas and Oklahoma was deciding to leave the Big 12 and going to the SEC. That was one thing. Like a decade ago, before that, Texas A&M, Missouri, Colorado, Nebraska, Maryland, all these teams leaving. Those wasn't teams that you like. Okay, we could kind of repackage this situation. They got rid of those teams, brought in TCU and Baylor, and eventually, Houston and all of them. But this was different. Texas and Oklahoma, the two standouts of the Big 12, pretty much, even with those teams being gone, still the two standouts of the Big 12 are leaving the Big 12. That was different. That was a massive thing. So that's one leaving a conference and going to another conference. Then you had the shocker, the hit, the most impactful move to me, which was USC and UCLA saying, you know what? We're also leaving. And we're going to leave the Pac 12 and we're going to go to the Big 10. We're going to join Ohio State. We're going to join Michigan, Penn State. We're going to leave this because, in their minds, at the time, the Pac 12 wasn't pretty much received like a conference, not like the SEC, the Big Ten, you know what I'm saying? Like there was certain ACC, you know what I'm saying? It felt like the Big Ten, like the Pac-12. A lot of people forget this. The Pac-12 felt like the fifth best team in the fifth best conference in the Power Five conference for literally 12, 13 years. It was like if you're good, like Oregon, who made the first real college playoff championship game, but for the most part, teams like Washington, any team that got out the Pac-12, that that just wasn't, it felt like they were the last team. They were always the fourth seed um, to get into the college playoffs. It just felt like the Pac-12 was like the redheaded stepchild of the Power Five. So last year having USC and UCLA both leave, not only leave the Pac-12, just the ultimate collapse of the Pac-12 right after it. Washington, Oregon, also saying we will take our, where we stand in this conversation of greatness. We would take that and we will also leave and we will also join the USC Trojans and the UCLA Brewers and join them in turn and go into the Big Ten as well. So now you have Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA both leaving, all of them leaving the Pac-12, which left the Pac-12 now without at least four of the massive schools that you need: branding, marketing, everything. They left. USC at the time was pretty good. You had Caleb Williams still there. You had, of course, Lincoln Riley, who's still there. But then you have a Washington and the Oregon, who clearly are two of the best teams in college football at the time, especially last year. Two of the best teams in college football, also packing up and leaving. And then UCLA, who could have been the Pac-12 saving grace, get packaged up so they can keep their rivalry together, and they leave. That right then, that felt like it was the end of the Pac-12. That right there felt like it was the end of the Pac-12, which of course then became, what do you do now with the Pac-12? Pretty much three of the most the three of the most popular schools in the Pac-12 are leaving, and one who has enough clout to at least try to keep the Pac-12 alive in UCLA, they're also packaged up and leaving. So what the hell do you do with the Pac-12? Which immediately broke the Pac-12. It immediately broke the Pac-12. Stanford, California, Cal, they were the last team to really leave it, but Colorado said, you know what, we're going back to the Big 12. We're not staying. We're gonna dip. We're going back to the Big 12. Um, Utah, you know, Utah also saying, listen, we're gonna leave. We're gonna go with, you know, Colorado. We're gonna go to the Big 12 as well, which you're just like, what? Colorado leaves, goes to the Big 12, and pretty much the rest of the teams in the Pac-12 is gone. Stanford, Colorado, Stanford and California, Cal are the last two teams of the Pac-12 to really decide to leave, but they end up in the ACC, and in the ACC, who was also being looked at as a franchise that could possibly, a conference that could possibly be breaking up. Florida State, Miami at around this time was also having their words kind of come out saying, we don't really want to be a part of the ACC anymore. We want to leave. We want to get out of this. We don't want to be here. Florida State was one of the most vocal around this time saying, listen, we don't want to be in the ACC. We want to leave. We want to go somewhere else. Preferably, hopefully in the SEC. They wanted to come to the SEC, but the SEC was not going to expand anymore. I think they already had their fill of Texas and Oklahoma, bringing them two in. So the ACC is still intact, but the Pac-12 took a massive hit. Pretty much Colorado, Washington, Stanford, Cal, USC, UCLA, Utah. You just had every damn team. Oregon. You pretty much had every team leave. And now the Pac-12 is still a thing, but it's only Washington State and Oregon State. And the only reason why those two teams are still leaving in the Pac-12 because nobody else wanted them. like, like people act like oh nobody wanted them. Like we forget that that being the point. And it was bad, man. It was bad, man. So the Pac-12 is no more. I mean, it's still two teams. And me and my brother Juan, we used to talk about this around the time when this happened. Does the Pac-12 maybe morph with you know Mountain West Conference? Who has Boise State and Utah State, and you know, do you maybe team up with them and just create a whole new conference? And it's crazy to sit there and say like the Pac-12 is no more. It's wild to say that, but at the end of the day, the Pac-12 last year was probably one of the best conferences, probably in college football. I'm gonna be honest, like it's probably one of the best conferences in college football. You had Oregon State, Oregon, Washington State, USC, UCLA. You had you had Colorado, Utah. You had a lot of great teams. That was the best the Pac-12 had ever been in a long fucking time. Your quarterback play, the team play, everybody was just it was incredible. Eyes were on the Pac-12. There have never been eyes on the Pac-12, and then that being his last real go round, at least for now, pretty crazy, pretty crazy, man. But conference realignment is officially here, and it happened. And now you have the ACC with various new teams: Utah, I mean, Cal, Stanford. They are going to ACC, and then you have the Big 12 with Colorado, Utah. You know, them getting those teams. I can't remember who else went to because the Big 12 got not just Utah and Colorado. They got some other teams too in the Big 12, and of course the Big 10 taking pretty much the substantial chunk of the Pac-12 with Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. They just all left and went. So now it's just in a situation. It's like, what the hell does a conference it looks like? Now, team conference that also lost two of the massive juggernauts is, of course, you know, two of the conferences that lost the massive juggernauts is the Big 12, of course. Texas and Oklahoma. They are now in the SEC. That's going to be pretty interesting to see. I can't wait to see how it's going to look. But for the most part, the Big 12 kind of sort of bounced back. I won't say like super duper bounced back. They did enough. They did enough. Of course, like I said, Colorado with Deion Sanders and the Colorado coming back to the Big 12. Utah, of course, like I said, you know, I think the Big 12 is going to be pretty interesting this year because you don't know who gets that. You got Houston. I think SMU. I think also joined them. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how the Big 12 is gonna look. The SEC is juggernaut. Big Ten is juggernaut. Which brings me to my next topic, which is the Power Four. Well, we used to be Power Five. Like I said, Pac-12 is no more. Could the AAC, now become that Power Five? We shall see. The American Conference, can that be the new Power Five? The new five of the Power Five? We shall see. But we already know the SEC and the Big Ten are the quintessential game-changing teams of the Power Five. The Power Five conferences. It's you know SEC and the Big Ten. What teams like I just said. Big Ten, of course, already has you know Penn State, the defending national champions, Michigan, Ohio State, who just loaded their entire team up thanks to the NILs. And then you of course have you know now the teams Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. Now you add them to the situation. The Big Ten is juggernaut to the fold. And if you ask me, what's you know, the best conference? Even though being an SEC kid, it's the Big Ten. It's the Big Ten. From the top to the bottom, it's the Big Ten. You got Penn State, you got Ohio State, you got Michigan, you got Michigan State, who can always somehow way get into it. You got Washington, you got Oregon, you got USC, you got UCLA. I think the Big Ten is the best conference out of them and the SEC. They're the best conference because of the team structure. Now, the SEC, of course, is no slouch, and they're not, some terrible fucking team conference either. You got Georgia, you got Alabama, of course, you got the juggernauts of those two teams. You got LSU, you got, Old Miss, and then you add in Texas and Oklahoma. You still got Auburn, you still got, what I'm saying, Arkansas. You still got teams like that that could kind of sort of find a way somewhere into this conversation. Kentucky, Tennessee, like teams like that are kind of a little bit under the radar. You don't really know, but for me, I feel like the Big Ten is a better conference. Now, a conference that a lot of people are not really talking about is the ACC. I think the ACC could have took a massive hit if Florida State did get accepted, did get their lawsuit passed, and got out of the ACC, and the SEC did take them. Because if the SEC would have said, okay, we'll take Florida State, it's only a matter of time before Miami says, well, if you're taking them, you're taking us. Now Miami's gone. I think the ACC is actually the conference where I think a lot of people need to pay attention to. Florida State, Miami, Clemson. Clemson, but eventually something will break for them. But then you add into the fact North Carolina, Duke, North Carolina State. You got some teams in the ACC, Pitt. Um, you got some teams in the ACC that's not some slouches, man. They could go out there and play, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's gonna look, man. The Big 12, the Big 12 to me is I know people think I'm crazy and I'm delusional when I say this. It's Colorado's to lose. It's Colorado's to lose. Colorado has possibly the best quarterback. I want okay. Utah has a really great quarterback. I'm not even about to sit there and lie. Utah has a really great quarterback. If he can stay fucking healthy, which is the key point. If he stays healthy, Utah will be a dangerous fucking team. Let's not even get that twisted. But if he doesn't, it's Colorado's conference to lose. I like TCU. I don't know about him though. I like Baylor. I don't know about him though. I feel like the Big 12 is really Houston can do some things this year. You got some teams that can do some things this year, but for me, it is Colorado's conference to lose. It really is. Excuse me. Which will probably open up the conversation of if Colorado wins the Big 12, with the new college playoff way of doing things, they could end up being they could end up being a fourth seed, depending on, you know, they could end up being a fourth seed, which brings me to the next topic, which is the 12-team playoff. Now, the way this is structured, playing college football on football, like on the game, the way this college playoff is structured is the four conference champions get the first four seeds, and they get buys, and they play in a bowl game. The rest of the teams that don't, the at-large bids, the team that won, who's the team that wins, I guess the fifth seed, which I don't know who the fuck could be the fifth seed. I'm assuming America because the Pac-12 is no longer. So either the American Conference or Conference USA or somebody's got to take that fifth seed. If not, just I guess I'm assuming the best team, whoever is the fifth best team in the college football, like would be a fifth seed. I'm assuming, but yeah, but but you know, that's gonna be interesting. The Pac-12, I think not being a thing now is going to be pretty interesting to see how this is going to work out. But the 12-team playoff is officially here. Now more teams have a chance to make the playoffs. It's not this, who had the best record and the best resume and all that bullshit. you could have literally three losses, but if you played the SEC, as long as you lost to the three best teams in the SEC, you could possibly get in, which is massive. And I think this is going to be more of an opportunity. So if a team catches a hot streak and they get into the conference playoffs, a 12 seed can get to the fucking championship game. It can happen. It's not like it's this super can't see it ever happening type of mindset. That shit can actually happen. And I can't wait to see how it's gonna play out. Like I said, the ACC is an interesting conference. Utah can, the ACC is an interesting conference. Miami could take it. I think with the addition of Cam Ward, Washington State's former quarterback, he now is in Miami. I think Miami is a very slept on conversation. Like I said, Clemson, even though Clemson has been on this Dabo Sweeting shit, has been on this. I don't want no recruit. I'm not taking no NIL kids and all that bullshit. I'm not doing the transfer portal shit. Not well, you to be the seventh best team in the ACC. That's just fucking stupid of you. But anyway, I think that the 12 team playoff is going to be pretty goddamn interesting, especially this year, because with the conference realignment and teams now, the conference realignment, and now you have more teams in the Big Ten, you have more teams in the SEC. I think a lot of people believe that this shit is just going to end up being a bunch of Big Ten, a bunch of SEC teams. Like that's what people are just scared of. They're like, oh my god, this cannot happen. This cannot be the Big Ten SEC shit. But I think this season it's not going to be that. I think maybe 2, 3 years from now, it's going to probably be the all SEC, all Big Ten playoff, but not this year. I think a lot of teams are going to fall victim to maybe not taking a lot of these games so serious like they used to. Like it used to have to be taken very damn serious. And I don't think a lot of these teams are going to take it very serious. I don't believe they will. And which would lead to a lot of these games kind of early in the season, maybe not a lot of these games early in the season, maybe not being taken so serious because you can kind of rebound, like I said, at the end of the year, catch a hot streak. So I can see, you know, a Memphis if they get hot and they win a conference. I can see Notre Dame. I can see, you know, a lot of these teams catching a hot streak and just getting into the playoffs. And that's the thing about it, man. So when people sit there and say, it's gonna be all SEC Big Ten. I don't see it, and I think a lot of that shit when the fucking playoffs started. It was like, oh, it's gonna be just a big ass SEC, party, and it ended up not being that. The first college championship game ever was Ohio State and Oregon. I mean, shit happens. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is gonna play out, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing this 12 team playoff. I think it's gonna be one of the dopest things on the planet, and it's gonna be real dope to see. So every year, there's a point in the season where college football gives away, of course, they give away the Heisman. This is also one of those things that a lot, this is, and of course you got your early predictions. A lot of people assume there's gonna be a quarterback this year, like every damn year. And I am not one of those guys that also don't think that. But I will say this: when I look at the quarterback situation this season, I expect big things from Cam Ward, like I said, the quarterback from Washington State that is now in Washington State that is now in Miami. I think Miami's going to be a very good team this year. I think he can actually get the Heisman because he's so under the radar. Well, not under the radar, but for what his standards have usually been, he's pretty much under the radar. Um, Another team, I have another player. I have a really sneaky suspicion. I'm not gonna go with the obvious ones. I think the Quinn Ayers and Shador Stevenson, Shador Steven Sanders, and all them. That's the obvious ones. That's the easy ones. That's the obvious easy ones. Do I think Carson Beck the quarterback from Georgia, Jalen Moreau, quarterback from Alabama. Do I think those guys could take the Heisman? Possibly. You know, Jackson Dart from Ohio, Ole Miss. Yeah, possibly. But my thought on it is that I think it's somebody that we're not talking about. If they have a really good season, the kid from USC, the quarterback Moss. I've seen Lincoln Riley, get 3 Heisman Award winners. I mean, he had what, three? Three. Yeah, Baker, Caleb, somebody else. I forgot who the fuck else he had. Oh, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was like a runner-up in the Heisman. But I've seen it. He can do it. You know, their offense is very geared towards a guy like that. But I'm gonna actually say somebody that a lot of people are not talking about, and it's two people, and they're not quarterbacks. Donovan Edwards, the running back from Michigan. I think Michigan is so slept on this season because a lot of people just do not believe they're going to be good. And of course, that scandal is still trying to drag on NCAA. Like, yo, Jim Harbaugh is literally in fucking football. He's coaching the Chargers, and y'all are still trying to press this man with charges that he will never have to face up to. It's stupid. That's like Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer didn't go back to college after all that shit happened. He left. He stayed out of it. He's not doing broadcast. But I think Donovan Edwards is going to be one of the best players this season, and I think he could be a Heisman candidate, and he might actually win that shit. Especially if Michigan isn't super bad. Like if they actually get back in the college playoffs, he has a total his purpose all purpose yardage is just unreal. You got to probably give it to him. The other one is Travis Hunter, wide receiver cornerback from Colorado. I think he can win it this year. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think he might have a lot of picks, and I think he's gonna have a lot of receiving touchdowns. And I think a lot of times people don't really because he plays both sides of the field, but he's gonna come up in the most crucial parts of the season, and I think that's where a lot of people are not understanding. So that's my Heisman's. Those are my two. If we talk about quarterback, we just talk about quarterbacks now. We just talk about just quarterbacks. I like Cam Ward from Miami. I think he can do it. I like the quarterback from Utah. I like the quarterback from Utah. If he's healthy, like I said, if he's healthy, he can pull it off. Um, I like the kid. I like our quarterback from LSU. Like that's some players that I think that people are not really putting into perspective. That could probably win the Heisman because here's the thing: the Heisman Award hasn't really gone to the preseason's choice in like a decade, maybe longer. So yeah, and which brings me to who do I think might win this upcoming college playoff championship this year? Now that's a little harder because I don't. That's a little bit more difficult. I don't know because with that being said, I don't know who wins it. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for why I say I don't know who's going to win the college playoff championship this year. Now I could go with the obvious choices, the Ohio States, the Georgias, those teams. If I had to pick, like if I had to choose, I'll say Oregon. I think Oregon wins the college playoff championship this year. Oregon is the one team that didn't have to deal with a lot of people moving on or losing. Alabama has a whole new head coach. Georgia is good, but Georgia is this one-dimensional ass team. They only throw to like the tight ends. They don't really do too much. That's why I feel like when people say uh, Carson Beck can win the Heisman, I'm like, who the fuck is he throwing the ball to? Like the fuck are y'all talking about? Jalen Monroe, like I said, Alabama's got a whole new head coach. I don't know what he does in that. Yeah, it's Washington's. I think it was Washington's old head coach. So that offense that Michael Penix Jr. was just in, he might be great in. Who knows? But I think Oregon. I think Oregon. I think last year something Oregon has never had really fully as a team is a defense, and they actually showed up last year, which is fucking rare. So for them to actually have a defense and actually have a quarterback and you know Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma, and he's not a new Oregon quarterback. I think Oregon, man. I think Oregon is the team. I think Oregon might be the quintessential game changing team. And coming in the Big Ten, I know Big Ten is of course going to beat the living hell out of each other, but I wouldn't be surprised if a team from the Big Ten wins. Oregon, I feel like is the most don't know really what they're gonna. Well, a lot of people are picking Oregon, but I don't think Oregon wins the Big Ten. But I think they get in the playoffs. I think they like the fifth or sixth seed. I think they get in, and I think they win the national championship from the fifth or sixth seed spot, which eventually will be considered a win for the college playoffs because the first year that we went to a 12-team playoff, it wasn't a one, it wasn't a two, it wasn't a three, it wasn't a four, it wasn't even a five. It was a sixth seed that took the title. That's that's rare. That doesn't happen. So it would all work out for the college playoffs. And plus, Oregon wins a championship, which everybody's been screaming they need to win for a long damn time anyway. So I think Oregon takes the crown this year. Now, who they play is a whole nother conversation. I do not know who they play. I do not know who they play. Now, my heart says LSU. That's my heart. My head is like maybe a SEC team, maybe Texas, maybe Alabama. No matter how many years, I don't give a shit what nobody say. Ole Miss is never going to win a national championship. I'm gonna go ahead and say that right now. Ole Miss is never going to win a national championship. Ole Miss does not have a defense. In the SEC, you got to have at least a defense. Ole Miss has never had a defense. They have had high-powered ass offenses and great offenses. DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, guys like that. Amazing offenses. They've never had a defense. And I'm supposed to sit up here and think Ole Miss is going to a fucking national championship. In what fucking world do you live in? That's when you have so many predictions that you don't even know what have landed. Ole Miss is going to lose a game because they cannot stop a fucking offense. And then they're going to lose another game because they cannot stop a fucking offense. People are going to be sitting there for the longest saying, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss. Ole Miss can barely win in the SEC. They have all that offensive power and don't have a fucking defense to stop anything. That's why I've always said, not Ole Miss. Ole Miss is never going to be that team. Never. I don't know why the fuck people. Jackson Dart can have a great year. That man got over 5,000 yards, 50 damn touchdowns, and his team would be 10-4, and you still be like, what? What the fuck happened? Ole Miss don't have a fucking defense. That was the fuck happened. No, man. No. 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 I don't know who Oregon plays in the national championship. I really fucking don't. I don't know who they play. I don't think it's gonna be a Big Ten team. Could be an SEC team. It could be. It could be Texas or it could be Alabama. I don't know. It was one of those two teams. Georgia's another one that I'm just very out on. I don't see Georgia being good this year. Even though people will swear to God they're gonna be great. I just don't see it. But those are my two. Georgia, maybe Alabama, maybe Alabama, maybe fuck what's the thing? Maybe Alabama, maybe Texas. Maybe LSU. I don't fucking know. If LSU got a defense, then yeah. But for the most part, it's one of them. Also, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if a fucking ACC like Miami gets there. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami somehow some way walks into the college championship game. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't fucking surprise me, man. I know my brother Juan would be happy when I say that, and he's probably gonna love this clip. But I wouldn't be surprised. Oregon and Miami would be a great fucking national championship. I think it'd be very dope. Oregon being a new guard of the way the college football is played now. Miami still having that fan base, that rapid fan base. It's the U. Always, that would be dope. That would be a dope ass game. That would be a dope ass situation. Yeah. But I think Oregon takes it, man. I think Oregon takes it. But yeah. Well, that is the preview. That's the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this, man. I am Brandon Janeau. Hope you guys enjoyed this. College football is here. Saturday, week 0 is officially here. The following week is college football excellence. Excuse me. Greatness, LSU, USC. You got so many crazy games going on around that time, week 1. So many crazy games. But until next time, man, I'll be back doing I Bleed Sports for the first week, and I'll be doing what I did last year, which was my skeptical games, my game of the week, you know, my most intriguing game, my most interesting game. I'll be doing all that, man. My upset of the week. I'll be doing it all. Uh, Not next week. Well, I might have to do it next week because I might have to do it next week. I might have to do it next week at the end of the NFL, prediction show. Um, I might do it before that. I might drop 2 episodes next week. Nah, fuck that. But I'm gonna do next week will be my NFL take. I'll be doing my NFL preview show. I might do the NFL preview show the week before the football season. I don't know, but I will be doing my NFL preview show that will be coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. Pretty much doing exactly this. Talk about some of the teams. Talk about some of the things I'm looking forward to seeing. Some quarterback battles. What I'm expecting for week 1. Everything, man. But until next time, man. This is BrandonJaneauShow. Hope you guys enjoy this. Peace.